Have you ever just stared up at the sky and felt completely in awe? It's something every single one of us has done. And for as long as we've been looking up, we've been telling stories to try and make sense of it all. So let's dive into the powerful myths we've created about our sun and sky.
There's actually a word for this. It's called astromythology. And it's not just a collection of old stories. It's the entire system, the language, the symbols, everything we've attached to the planets and stars. It's a tradition that stretches all the way from ancient Babylon to us today. It's kind of like the grand narrative we've all been writing together for the cosmos.
But why? Why do we do this? Is it just for a bit of fun? Or is there something, deeper going on? What is this fundamental need we have to weave these incredible tales about the heavens? Well, one of the biggest reasons is pretty simple. We're just trying to make sense of the world around us. And sometimes, the most charming, simple stories can answer the biggest questions. Let's start with a fantastic little folktale that explains something we all totally take for granted.
So get this. According to this story, there was a time when the sky and the sun were literally right on top of us. I mean, so close you could almost reach out and touch them. The problem was, this wasn't a good thing at all. The sun was so hot and so near that its heat would actually crack people's skulls.
And things finally came to a head when one woman lost both her husband and her daughter in a single day, all because of this unbearable heat. And in her grief, in her rage, she just screamed at the heavens, cursing the sun and sky to just go up, to give humanity some room to breathe.
And they did. Totally terrified by her curse, the sun and the sky just started flying straight up, getting farther and farther away. The only reason they stopped is because they heard a washerman who was chasing his runaway donkey yelling, "Stop! Stop!" They thought he was talking to them, so they just froze, right where they are today. It's a pretty charming way to explain our world, isn't it?
But myths aren't just for explaining, why the sky is way up there. We also use the sun as this giant canvas to project our greatest ideals. We literally forge our heroes from the fire of the sun, creating these figures of light, justice, and incredible power.
I mean, just think about King Arthur. His round table? It's round, just like the sun. His famous sword, Excalibur, is said to shine with a brilliant divine light. But what's really wild is that some legends say his strength in battle would actually grow and fade with the sun's position in the sky. So he wasn't just a king, he was a living symbol of the sun's cycle, representing order and justice against the darkness.
And this idea is ancient, really ancient. The Greeks had Helios, who you might know as the guy who drove his blazing four-horse chariot across the sky every single day. The Romans adapted this, creating their own god, Sol. And Roman soldiers, well, they loved him. They called him Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. What a powerful symbol for an empire, right?
And what's fascinating is that the source material we're looking at points out how this solar hero idea is so powerful, it even shows up in major world religions. The author describes Jesus Christ as the supreme solar hero, highlighting his description as the light of the world and noting that his birth was marked by a bright star. The key takeaway here is just how enduring and fundamental this symbolism of a heroic lightbringer is to us as humans.
But it's not all about stoic heroes and epic battles. These myths also made the gods deeply personal, and wow, could they be dramatic. Because these sun gods, well, they weren't just about power, they were also driven by passion.
So, let's talk about Apollo. This guy is a god of light, music, prophecy, basically the golden boy, the rock star of the Greek pantheon. But for all his brilliance, he was famously and often tragically unlucky when it came to love. He just could not catch a break. And this gives us two of his most famous and kind of heartbreaking stories. The nymph Clytie was so consumed by her love for him, love he didn't return, that she just wasted away, transforming into a sunflower, her face forever doomed to follow his path across the sky. And then there's the story where he relentlessly pursued the nymph Daphne. In a final desperate plea, she was turned into a laurel tree just as he was about to catch her. These aren't just love stories, they're divine origin stories for the world's plants, born from passion and despair.
Okay, so we've seen myths explain the world and express our highest ideals. But what if I told you these stories are so powerful they can be literally written onto our bodies and woven right into the fabric of our daily lives?
All right, stick with me on this one because it's a little strange. The Aztecs, they had a very unique view of gold. They believed it was literally the excrement, the waste product of their sun god. Think of it as divine traces of the sun itself left behind on Earth. It sounds bizarre to us, but for them, it made gold an incredibly sacred and powerful substance. Now connect that belief to this incredible practice from the pre-colonial Philippines. People would undergo this painful procedure to have golden pegs embedded into their teeth. This wasn't just about showing off wealth, it was a true display of strength and bravery. They were literally incorporating a piece of the divine sun god into their very bodies. How amazing is that?
And this deep connection to the cosmos is hiding in plain sight, in something you use every single day. The week. Sunday, that's an easy one. It's the sun's day. Monday is the moon's day. And the links get even clearer in other languages. In French, mardi is Mars's day, mercredi is Mercury's day, jeudi is Jupiter's, vendredi is for Venus. Our entire week, our whole rhythm of life, is built on this foundation of ancient celestial myths.
And you might be thinking, okay, that's all fascinating ancient history, right? But the truly amazing thing is, even now, in our scientific age, we haven't stopped telling these kinds of stories. This astromythology, this way of thinking, is still all around us.
Take a look at this. Even a certified genius like the early astronomer Johannes Kepler, the guy who figured out the laws of planetary motion, even he couldn't quite shake that mythical impulse. To explain why the planets moved, he theorized that they were being pushed along their orbits by angels. It was this beautiful bridge between the brand new world of science and the ancient world of myth.
And once you start looking, you see these echoes everywhere. We named the program that took humanity to the moon Apollo. There are tabloid newspapers called The Sun. We eat candy bars called Mars and Milky Way. Even Disney's most famous dog is named Pluto, after the god of the underworld. This mythological language is so deeply embedded in our culture, we barely even notice it anymore.
So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. These myths aren't just quaint old stories. They're a fundamental part of who we are. They are the narrative, the framework we use to process that awesome, spiritual, and sometimes just overwhelming experience of looking up at the sky.
Which really just leaves us with one last thought. When we tell stories about superheroes powered by our yellow sun, or we dream up epic adventures in far-off galaxies, aren't we just creating the next chapter? So what myths are we writing about our universe right now?